Hey guys, it's Casey. I'm sorry I haven't posted yesterday for the. I didn't post in time for the first pre-release of the weekend, but I managed to get because I was at the one for Friday, and it was amazing. I got like top 16 out of like 100 people or so, and I opened amazing. I got 4 mythic rares out of my 6 packs. Uh, so out of the entire thing, probably had I made about $50 because of my openings and just the prizes I got, and it was amazing. I played Rakdos because of the removal in it, and also the creature base is really good. It's really fast, so I recommend playing Rakdos as like Rakdos or Azorius. Those two are like the best ones in my opinion, because of the detainment and the unleash abilities are so overpowered that it's really good. I had so much fun. Right, we're going to talk about the multicolored cards today, and I'm going to have a little bit more insight than I did with the other ones because actually I have some experience with these cards. All the multicolored cards, in my opinion, are really overpowered compared to the monocolored. Like, you're going to hear me talk a lot about how really good these cards are because they are really good. And the first one, we'll start off with Abrupt Decay, 2 mana instant speed removal spell that can't be countered. It's returned non-permanent with converted mana cost of 3 or less. It kills all the tokens, and limited. It kills all tokens. Every Rakdos creature that's really decent. It also kills the early game flyers for Azorius. It also kills a lot of the Selesnya token makers. It kills all the guild mages. And it also kills enchantments. Like, it also kills detention spheres. Okay, but this card, and for constructed, this kills every Delver you see. It also, it's just a really good removal spell because it can't be countered. And I'm just a big fan of this card. Archon of the Triumvirate. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a 4/5 flyer for 7 mana. It has when this creature attacks, this is the guild leader you get when you pick Azorius, and this card is just so insane because of the fact that it detains 2 creatures when it attacks 2 creatures or permanents. Oh look, your 2 best creatures in your entire deck. Yeah, they don't do anything. I'm sorry. Oh, you opened Niv-Mizzet? Well, he's gonna sit there and do nothing. I'm sorry. And it's just when it attacks, it's really hard to it's almost impossible to lose this game. To lose the game when you are attacking with him. So yeah, he's very powerful creature. For standard, he might be a 1-of in standard, but I don't think he's gonna make big waves. Augur Spree. Oops, sorry. Augur Spree, 3 mana removal spell for this card was a complete blowout in my deck. I managed to get 2 of them. These is basically the Doomblade of the set. It's better than the Abrupt Decay because of the fact that it kills probably almost every card in the set. The only thing it doesn't kill is like mythic rare bombs. And I have killed a mythic rare bomb because of playing Augur Spree. It's just very overpowered, and it's a really good removal spell. This is definitely a first pick when you draft the set. You definitely take this card and you want to at least splash for it. Okay, Armada Worm. It's a 6 mana 5/5 that with trample that enters the battlefield and it makes another Armada Worm. This card is really amazing. I didn't get a chance to play with it, but the fact that it's a 10 power trampling for 6 mana, and even if they can kill one of them, and you'll still have 5 power on the board. It's very hard to beat this card when you cast it. It's just such a good card. Okay. Next is Azorius Charm. It's the blue-white charm. This card is so good because it has such a good tempo, and the lifelink ability and limited is such a big game changer. It will literally make you like if a game's very balanced, like it's like okay, you attack then I attack, you attack then I attack. If you do this and give all your guys lifelink, you take away an attack that they just made on you and make them use an extra turn to get to where they just were, and then to bring you down again. So you basically buy 1 or 2 turns when you do the lifelink ability, and plus instant speed, draw a card, it cantrips when you need it to, or you can just I don't know, fate seal them. Like you go, okay, you can draw that card again. Thank you so much. You can draw your 1 drop. It's like the best, the most main deckable charm in the entire set. Call of a Conclave. This card is also pretty good, very good. It's a 2 mana 3/3 basically, and you can populate with it. It's a very good board setup. So you can set up all your populate stuff. It's a lot of fun. Centaur here. This card's insane. This is, I want to say it's on par with the 2/4 lifelink flying angel for 4. That was in the Return to Ravnica, the Avacyn Restored set. This is a 3/3 for 3 that gains you 3 life when it enters the battlefield. Its value when it enters the battlefield, if they kill it, they're using a removal spell on a 3-drop, which is what you want, and it's a 3 that it trades with almost everything. It's just fat for 3 mana. Carnival Hellsteed, 6 mana. This is also one of the generals you get for your guild. For this card, most of the time you want to unleash this card because it's such an intimidation factor when you play it and you're attacking for 6, plus whatever else you have on your board. It's a very good creature, and it doesn't die to a lot of the removal in this set. Like Abrupt Decay's out, Augur Spree is out. The only thing that kills it is Explosive Impact, and like the white arrow that when it deals damage destroy it. That's the only way to kill this card, I think, in the Detention Sphere. But it's those cards are it's really good. Next we have Chemist's Trick. This card reminds me of Suicidal Charge from Alara Reborn, I believe it was, or maybe Conflux. An enchantment, second creatures your opponent's control get -1/-1 attack this turn if able. You do that, and you basically overload this card, and you basically make your opponent attack you, leave themselves defenseless, and attack all out. The only reason I wouldn't play this card is because usually in the Izzet deck, you want to just get incremental advantage over them. You just want to slowly grind them down and just like have answers for all of their things. This card might not make the deck. It might not. Stevie. So I had to get a drink of water. Collective Blessing. This is the Tempered Steel for Ravnica. This card is a complete bomb when you cast it and it resolves. All your guys get +3/+3. Not creature tokens, not non-token creatures. All of them. Not non-flyers, not flyers. All of your creatures get +3/+3. So if you have 3 1/1s in play, they become 3 4/4s in play, and you now are swinging for 12 with just creature tokens. The card is a huge beating if you just resolve it. Oh no, too far. Corpse Jack Menace. This is also the Golgari guild leader. Obviously really good with the scavenge ability. It's also good with, you actually could splash, yeah, I'll show you the next card with this as well. Common Bond. These two work together very well. Uh, oh look, each creature it turns common bond into a the Traveler's Guide. I forgot the card from Innistrad where it's two. Wow, I'm just blanking today. Two green or a green and a colorless, and put a 1/1 counter on 2 creatures you control, and then flashback. That makes that this Corpse Archmagus turns common bond into a Traveler's Square. Or I don't remember the card. I'm sorry. And also it works with a bunch with it works really well with the Unleash ability because it comes into play with 2 counters on it instead of just 1. And it's just really good, but you have to have the right deck for it. This is like the most underwhelming of the guilds, of the guild leaders. Common Bond, just a really good trick, and also it's a permanent and not just temporary giant growth. Good combat trick. It can actually save 2 guys. It actually could be 2 for 1 in just 1 card. It's just a decent card. I enjoyed playing this. Counterflux, counter. It can't be countered, and counter target spell you don't control, and an overload. This is more of an EDH card because of this is a sideboard card. Also, if you're playing Izzet, you're going against another Izzet deck. You just play this card, and they can't beat you in the counter war. So you guys do just pay 4 mana and overload and just counter everything they cast. It's meant to break up the counter war. Okay. Next is Courser's Accord. Put a 3/3 into play and then populate. This card at least will give you 6 power. So it's 6 power for 6 mana. Or if you have a 4/4 or since this is the Selesnya card as well, it gives you the 8/8 land, the 8/8 token, the land, Grove of the Guardian. You can pay 5, tap 2 creatures. You can do this, and then tap your tokens, and then bring out an 8/8, and then you can populate the 8/8, which is insane and really good. Say this card is really good. Dramatic Rescue, return target creature to its own hand. You gain 2 life. This is way better than what I originally thought it was. I thought this card would you bounce their creature and then they gain 2 life. Like the controller gains 2 life, but it's always you. You always gain into 2 life, which is good tempo. Because first off, you bounce the creature, and they have to spend the mana to recast it. And also, you can buy a turn with it. Like usually you win a game by just like 1 or 2 points of damage. Well, there's the 2 points of damage you just got right there. Now I have another turn or 2. I just bought 2 turns with 2 mana. Which is pretty good. Detention Sphere. This card I saw a lot at the pre-release, unfortunately. It's a really good card and constructed because there's a bunch of 4-ofs in the set in it, but in limited it's still decent, but it's not going to be as good. You very rarely are going to get more than 1 creature, but when you do, you're going to feel amazing when you do it. But this card's still just a good removal spell. It answers everything. It's just even if they have a Detention Sphere, they can't get it. Which I enjoy. Dreadbore, I saw one of these at the pre-release. I didn't see that many. Just the best removal spell in the set. It's a little bit better than Augur Speed because it gets rid of everything, including the big bombs. But and planeswalkers. But for it's better Terminate. So, but not Instant Speed. The only reason it's not the best removal spell in the set because it's not Instant Speed. That's the only reason why. Dreg Mangler, 3 mana, 3/3 with haste with an upside. I actually read a comment when this started first boiled. Someone thought this card was underpowered, and also the Dead Bridge Goliath was underpowered. A 4-mana 5/5 with an upside. So I looked at the comment, thought to myself how to reply, and I just ignored it because I realized that he did not read the card right. Because this card is not underpowered whatsoever, and it's a really huge beater when you play it on turn 3. Essence Backlash, counter-target spell, creature spell, it deals damage equal to its power. This does not work. Keep in mind that if they have the Unleash mechanic, this does not work with that counter. You take damage equal to the creature, but because it doesn't ever enter the battlefield, it doesn't get the extra counter on it. So you take their base damage, the base attack, not the additional one damage. This card is semi-playable if they have a bunch of bombs in their deck, and you play this and you counter their bomb and they take like 6 for it. That's a huge swing in your favor, and then they basically have to skip their turn to not die. It's a good card, but it's sideboard tech in my opinion. Epic Experiment. This card doesn't really do much. Exile the top X cards of your library for each instant and sorcery with converted mana cost of X or less among them. You cast them without paying X mana cost. Then put all cards exiled this way that weren't cast into your graveyard. So basically, this card doesn't do anything in limited formats or in constructed formats. The only thing it's going to do is kitchen table stuff, which is kind of fun, but that's about it. Follow the Gavel, counter trigger spell, you gain 5 life. This card is meant for like the bombs, and just the gain 5 life buys you another turn if you're playing the controlling detain deck. But this card, it's not terrible, but it's still not playable. It's better than Syncopate, I gotta say. Okay. Firemind's Foresight, 7 mana, instant speed, tutor for a instant card with 3 or less, and then instant for 2 and instant for 1. This card not good because there's not going to be that many instant speed spells that have 3, 2, and 1 in your deck that you're going to be able to tutor for and have 7 mana and not drawn it yet. Because if you're playing stuff like this, you're not improving your board. You're basically going to tap out for this, and then your opponent's going to take advantage of this and then kill you before you get the caster spells that you tutored for. Golgari Charm. All creatures get -1/-1 to target enchantment or regenerate each creature you control. This is a good sideboard card because it kills the token. It kills a bunch of the token cards. And also, if you're playing against a Rakdos deck that is not unleashing all their creatures, you can just do the -1/-1 to all the creatures in the field and kill all of them, because usually they have a toughness of 1. And also, it's just a really good combat check. Like if they play, someone has a Supreme Verdict, and they play it, you can regenerate all your creatures and make them basically just kill themselves with a Supreme Verdict. And also there's also some enchantments, a lot of enchantments in this set. So all the abilities are relevant in this charm. Goblin Electromancer, 2 mana 2/2. Instant sorceries you control cast cost 1 less. This card is not that impressive because of the ability. Because if you're playing instants and sorceries, I doubt you're going to be worried about how much you're paying. Because usually you only have 1 to cast, and you're leaving up mana for it anyways. It's a 2/2 for 2, so the body's okay. But other than that, it's not that great. Grizzly Salvage, 2 mana, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or land from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. This card is basically Mult, but worse, because you only get 1 land or 1 creature. You don't get a land and a creature. Jared's Orders is better because it tutors for 2 creatures. I would not play this card. Okay, next is Havoc Festival. Players can't gain life for 6 mana, and at the beginning of each player's upkeep, they lose half of their life rounded up. This card is basically unplayable unless you're playing the Rakdos deck because you have to be beating. It's even unplayable in the Rakdos deck because they're already at like 3 life. By the time you play, you get the 6 mana, and they're gonna be losing 1 more life, and that's not that much life to be lost. Oh, too much. Heroes Reunion, target player gains 7 life. For 2 mana, this actually is okay. It will buy you a turn. Just to, if you need to live for 1 more turn just to get the mana to populate, or to make make an 8/8, then it's okay. It's just, I wouldn't play too many of these at once. Hellhole Flailer, it's basically a 4/3 they can't block, essentially, because that's what you should always play it as. And if they have a removal spell for it, you can just dome them for 4. And basically get a 1/1 from it. Or a 2/1, actually. Hussar Patrol, it's a 4 mana 2/4 with Flash and Vigilance. This card's actually pretty good because there's a lot of spells around the 4 and 5 drop area that are like counters or instants and sorceries and spells and what have you. So they're not going to be playing around a creature that much, and when you play this, you're gonna kill a guy that they attacked with a lot of the time. So it's not a bad creature to play. I was surprised. Hypersonic Dragon, 4/4 Flying Haste. The ability is not that relevant in Seal in Limited, but it's just a 4/4 that attacks on the turn it's cast for 5 mana, which is okay. Excuse me. Is that charm? Counter target non-creature spell control unless a controller pays 2. Deals damage to target creature, or draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards for 2 mana. It's okay. It's a good removal spell, and also it's one of the best. It's the best charm in my opinion because you can draw into gaps if you need it. If you have a lot of lands for some reason, or you can also just stop something from happening. Counter a good removal spell or counter a Diligent Sphere. Asperia, Supreme Judge. It's a 6/4 for 6 that with flying. That basically says if your opponent is a good player, that basically says creatures your opponents can't attack, because they don't want you to draw a bunch of cards. And the only reason that this card is not the best is because it has 4 toughness, and there's a lot of removal spells that are at 4 that deal 4 damage or deal get -4 to the toughness, like August Spree. If it was at 5, it'd be an amazing card. If it was a 6/5, it'd be amazing, and you'd slam it every time. Not that you don't slam it every time now, but it's a 6-power flyer that is for 6. That's really good. Is it Staticaster? It's a 3 mana 0/3 with Flash and Haste, and it's a pinger. Keep in mind, this does not do damage to players, so it's not the best pinger out there. But it's good because it gets rid of all the 1/1 flyer tokens and the populate. So I would still play this card highly, and plus it's also a really good defensive card. For this one we have Jared, 2/2 for 4 mana, so it's not the best. This card actually doesn't impress me that much in Limited, because usually you want to keep the creatures you have around and just battle it out. And if you're attacking and the creatures you're attacking with, if they're about to, if you either have a choice to trade or you can just sack your guy and they take 2 more damage. And then Jared gets bigger. That's the only way I think this card is good. And also sacking a forest and a swamp is also kind of out of the question in limited, because unless you're in top deck mode, because basically he's another spell you can just use 2 mana to get him back for. So it's okay, but he's not going to shine until the late game. Kuro's the Guild Mage, 2 mana 2/2, with a very good. Both the abilities are extremely good. You have target creature gets +1/+1 and Intimidate. That card's really good, or that's really relevant, because there's a bunch of. It's not as good because there's a bunch of multicolored stuff. But if you give it to a creature that is just monocolored, then you're just able to swing and just bash, and they're not able to block at all, and they just take a bunch of damage from them. And plus, you can just do it multiple times. And then the second ability, usually you want to do it when they have like a removal spell for your guy. If they're going to kill it anyways, just go and just sack it off, get a bunch of 1/1s instead, and then you can populate the tokens. Jared's Order, search the library for up to 2 creature cards, remove them, put 1 into your hand, you go into the graveyard, then shuffle your library. This is basically a tutor for a creature, and then you can also, if you have a scavenge creature, you can put the scavenge into the graveyard and then just have fun. It's a pretty good creature. Lull Troll, a lot less troll. 2 mana 2/1 with trample, and discard a creature card, put a 1/1 counter on it, and pay a single black to regenerate it. This card is not that good in limited formats, but in constructed it's going to be insane because he only has to regenerate for 1 black mana. He's just really good. Next we have Loxodon Smiter, 3 mana 4/4, can't be countered, and if an ability, spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard him, you can put it into the field. And for free. This card's pretty good. Usually you're just going to play it for 3 mana 4/4 and just have a big beater. Mercurial Chemister, 5 mana 2/3. He costs. I'd say he costs a lot for the body, but the fact that he paid 1 blue to tap and draw 2 cards, I'm okay with overpaying for a 2/3. And then pay 1 red, tap, discard a card, deal damage to target creature equal to the discarded converted mana cost. That card's really good because it lets you draw as much as you want. You only draw 2 cards, but oh well, 1 mana, draw 2 cards. That seems pretty good. But yeah, I have no problem. This is definitely first pick. The Abscad Knight, the 3 mana 3/1 flying with Detain, and it's target non-land permanent too, not just a creature. This card's insane. This is one of the best. This is the best curving creature, in my opinion. Probably like the top 5 in the Azorius deck. I would not have a problem whatsoever playing this card. New Prov Guild Mage, 2 mana 2. All the Guild Mages are good in their own way, but I believe this is the best one out of all of them because even though the second ability is a little bit overcosted, if it cost 4 mana to do it, then the card would be insane. But having a mana sink for late game, which is what the Azorius deck tries to do, is to go into late game and just draw it out. You just detain 1 to 2 of their best stuff and able to just get through, and they're not able to attack you back. It's one of the best feelings. And also each creature you can give, if you have enough mana to do to detain 2 creatures each turn, you can just give 5 creatures you control flying and attack for 1 billion and win. Nivix Guild Mage, pay 3 mana, it's a 2 mana 2/2. I think all the Guild Mages are 2 mana 2/2s. This one has pay 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red, and you can cantrip, or you can loot. And having a looter that doesn't tap is amazing. And the second ability is not as relevant, unless it's really late game and you can just copy it. Because usually when it copies your bigger spells, that just lets you take over the game, like Sphinx's Revelation. But yeah, this good mage is fine. Recto's Charm, this is probably like the least playable out of all of them. But the fact that it destroys an artifact is basically the reason you're playing this card. And also, if you're playing against a token deck, you just do the third ability, and they just take like 10. But you want to use it just for artifact to get rid of key runes. Niv Mizzet, the Draco Genius. 6 mana, 5/5, flying. When it deals damage to a player, you may draw a card. This one, and then also pay 1 blue, 1 red, and deal 1 damage. Not pay 1 blue and tap. Pay 1 blue, 1 red, and deal 1 damage to target creature. 1 damage to target creature or player. This card will see. This card is a limited bomb. If you don't windmill slam it, you must have picked up like a dread. He must have had a foil dreadbore in the pack as well. That's the only way you would ever pass Niv Mizzet or any of the other legendary creatures, because this card will take over the game. You'll draw cards for 2 mana, which is awesome, and it's also removal on that you can use repeatedly. So yeah. Rakdos Ragemont at the 5 mana 3/3 lifelink and haste. I don't think I've ever seen a lifelink on a black-red creature. But this card is okay because it lets you get back to a racing position instead of just like if you're playing the Rakdos Unleash and you're unleashing all your creatures just to get in a bunch of damage, you actually might take a bunch of damage on the backswing because of the fact that your creatures can't block. But this card will help you get back into the race and take you out of that deep hole you just dug yourself into. Rakdos Ringleader, when it deals damage to a player, put that player discard card at random with the 3/1 first strike. The 3/1 first strike, I would just play the keyword instead because it costs 3 mana and 2 mana to become a 3/1. This one costs 6, but you can regenerate it. But it's still overcosted for what you can do with it. Oops, too far. Rakdos' Return. It's basically a fireball with an upside, and we all know how good fireball is. And it reminds me a lot of like lightning, because except you just pay 2 more mana. I'm okay with paying 2 more mana in this format for them to discard 3 cards and take 3 damage. Yeah, it's a really good card. Rakdos, I actually got this in my sealed pool when I was playing Rakdos as well, and I got two of the Cackling Demon, Rakdos Cackler, which I'll show you later. This card is insane when only in the Rakdos deck, because you need to have ways to get damage in early. The reason why he's cost 4 is because you want to be able to get him out without them able to play bigger creatures to block and trade with your guys. Because if you don't get through, you can't ever cast Rakdos. Righteous Authority. I used to think this card is pretty bad because I just don't like enchantments. But I got to play this weekend, or I got to play on Friday. And it's actually pretty good. Like, giving your creature +3/+3 and drawing an extra card a turn, you might not attack with the creature, but it's gonna be a good blocker, and also you're drawing an extra card a turn, and you're not paying mana for it. So I'm okay with this card. Like, it's a pretty decent enchantment. Risen Sanctuary, it basically it's a 7 mana 8/8 with Vigilance. It's okay, but at 7 mana I want something more than just an 8/8 that I can chunk block. So I wouldn't recommend playing this card unless you have nothing else. Unless you don't have another big finisher. Guild Mage, 2 black, or a black and a colorless, target blocking creature gets -1/-1, and then target player who lost life this turn loses 1 life. This card can take over the game, the late game very easily because it's a mana sink, and if you get through for 1, you can just pay 10 mana and they lose another 5. So it's a really good card. I'm happy with this Guild Mage. Rites of Reaping. I would not play this card because it's not a combat trick. It's not instant speed, but it's still a 2-for-1 if you kill their creature. It's not the worst thing I've seen, but it's not the best because it's not instant speed. Search Warrant. This is basically a really bad Jitaxian probe that does a cantrip. You gain life equal to the number of cards in their hand, but if you play this card and you see that they have all these really good cards that you can't beat, then it might prompt you to just concede from you playing your own spell. But so this is basically a card that I would not play. Selesnya Charm. This basically gets rid of every single bomb in the set permanently, or you can trick them and it can become a pump spell, or you can push through more damage with it, or it can just make a 2/2 and just block. It's just a really this is probably like, other than the Azorius Charm, it's the best charm in my opinion. Skymark Rock, a 4 mana 3/3 flyer that attacks and bounces each attacks. It's not this card is really good. Not only is it a 4 mana 3/3 that with flying, but it's also a bounce spell each turn. When it attacks, not when it blocks, but when it attacks. So it's a really good tempo card, and also it's just big. It's a really good creature. Skullrend. Basically, this is going to be Blightning for EDH. Hits everyone, and they each discard 2 cards. So you can possibly make 3 people discard 2 cards. So you basically get a 6-for-1, and then also they each take 2. But in limited, I would not play this card because it's too slow. Slaughter Games. You don't play this card. You don't play this card unless you want to get rid of their bomb. That's the only reason. But other than that, it's not exciting. Sluiceway Scorpion, 2 mana, 4 mana, 2/2 Death Touch with Scavenge. This card's pretty decent. I thought it was a little bit overcosted for a 2/2 with Death Touch, but it's actually a really good card because you can block and trade, and then you get to give your 2 counters to a creature that you want to have live. It's really good. Shinx's Revelation. This card's actually really good as well. I was surprised by this one. Let me fix this. I thought it was going to be just another Dirtly card, but instead I actually almost lost to this card because they gained about 6 life off of it and drew 6 cards because I let them live that long. This card's, but it's a card that and it's an instant speed too, so they can do it on your turn and just. Oh look, I have 9 mana untapped on my turn and 6 cards in my hand. Yay! So this card's really good. Like if you have this card, I would play with it. Spawn of Rixmati. It's basically a 6/4 for 5, which is about average. I wouldn't play a lot of these. This is just a finisher, like the top of your curve. Supreme Verdict. 4 mana, the Wrath that can't be countered. This card is pretty good. Of course, it's good, but it's just something that I wouldn't play it in limited unless like they have. If you're playing against the Scavenge deck, then you might want to sideboard it out for something else. But if you're playing against it, but if you're just the tempo deck, then it's okay. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 to the end turn and is unblockable. You're gonna play this card more than for the overload cost than the regular casting cost because you want to. This is a win condition, and I always enjoy cards like this. Treasured Find, 2 mana, turn target card from your graveyard to your hand. This is a good card to sideboard if you're going against someone that has a lot of removal and you're just trying to get your bomb into play and have it stay in play. Other than that, it's okay. Thought Flare, the 5 mana, draw 4 cards, then discard 2. This is basically a careful consideration at instant speed with no drawback. Because if you play careful consideration, you have to discard 3 cards instead, and you just pay 1 more mana. So yeah, big thumbs up for this card. Trestle Troll. They 1/4 defender reach with regeneration. This is basically a spider. It's eating a pigeon. This card's okay. This is a definite. I would play this against the Azorius deck. It's just a really good card against flyers because they just can't get through. Tristani, Silencia's Voice. This card is really good, especially with the populate on it. But this is good if you have a bunch of big creatures that the Risen Temple, the 7 mana 8/8, because you play it and you gain 8 life, and then you're back in the game. And it's a 2/5, so it's going to be defending. It's a really good card. 2/4, sorry. Vraska, until your next turn, whenever +1, whenever a creature deals damage, combat damage, not tap, deal 1 damage to target player, combat damage. To Vraska the Unseen, destroy that creature. -3, destroy target non-land permanent, and then -7, put 3/1/1 Black Assassin tokens onto the battlefield, and when this creature deals damage to a player, that player loses the game. Wow. You're mainly going to use Vraska to +1. You're going to Vindicate some enchantment, a permanent, and then plus tick her up a couple, then Vindicate again, then tick her up, and then Vindicate. And just have that trade-off. But yeah, this is definitely a first pick, of course. All Planeswalkers are. V2 Ghazi Guildmage. This is probably the best Guildmage. Because you can pay 6 mana to put a 3/3 to play, and then you just pay 4 mana to put another 3/3 to play, or you can pay 4 mana to put a 4/4 or an 8/8 or a 5/5. Take your pick. This card will take over late game if you have just a bunch of mana and have nothing else to do. You can pay 8 mana and get 2 creatures, and which is okay with me. I would love to play this card. Wayfaring Temple. It's basically Crusader of Aldrich with when it deals damage, populate. I really wish this had trample on it, but it's an okay card. I wouldn't play it unless you're like dedicated to the populate mechanic. But other than that, it's okay. Okay, going through the hybrid cards now. Azer's Elocutors, 5 mana, 3/5 at the beginning of your upkeep, put a filibuster counter on it, and if it has 5 or more filibuster counters on it, you win the game. And when a source deals damage to you, remove a filibuster counter from Azor's Elocutors. So this card has to be in play for 5 turns. You have to also not take any damage for those 5 turns. And then if you're at the position where you don't take damage for 5 turns and you still are not winning, then you win. So it's an alternative win card. Cryptborn Horror, 3 mana with 3 mana hybrid. Trample when it enters the battlefield with X normal counters on it, where X is the total life lost by your opponents this turn. This is more of a commander card because it says opponents, and you can just skull run them and then play this card as an 8/8 for 3. Other than that, this card it's not that good in a limited because because you have to do it when you can and not when you want to. Blister Cord weird when you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it's +1/+1 to the end of turn. Untap it. This is an okay card. But you have to be very careful about how you use your instant sorceries. It makes you want to save them, even though you have to cast them now. But it's okay. But you have to have a bunch of them of its instant and sorcery card for it to work. It's just a 1/1 for 1. Deathrite Shaman. Tap, exile target land from the graveyard. Add one from a graveyard. Add a land, 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Pay 1 black. Tap, exile target instant sorcery from the graveyard. Each opponent loses 2 life, and then tap, exile green. Pay green. Tap, exile target creature card from a graveyard. You gain 2 life. In limited, this card does just about nothing because there's never gonna be. It's not gonna mana ramp you because there's no lands to exile from the graveyard. And for you're not really worried about. Excuse me. You're not worried about them getting cards back from the graveyard. It's just not the best card I've seen for limited. For constructed, it's okay. It's like a sideboard card. But other than that, it's not impressive and limited. Dryad Militant is basically a elite vanguard. It's a 2 mana. It's a 2/1. It's a 1 mana 2/1. And if a instant or sorcery card be put into graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. It's okay. Golgari Longlegs is the 5 mana 5/4. It's a decent creature. The body is the only reason to play this card, and also you can. Since these are hybrid cards, you can play them outside of the Golgari. You can play this outside of Golgari. You can play it in Silencia or Rakdos. Frostborn Weird. This is a better water courser because it costs less mana, and you can just. It's a mana sink, so it's a good one. Growing Rings, 4 mana, beginning of your upkeep, populate. This is not a good card unless you're like a dedicated populate deck, and if they kill your tokens, then this card just does nothing. Judge's Familiar, a 1-drop, 1/1 flyer that when you sacrifice it, you can counter target instant or sorcery spell unless they pay 1 for it. I don't like cards with flying on it when they only have 1 power because it just doesn't do enough. Rakdos Cackler, this card is insane as in the zombie deck. It's a 1. You're gonna unleash this card every time you play it because it's a 1-drop 2/2, and a 1-drop 2/2 will get in a lot of damage and let you play Rakdos. This card's insane. I'm not kidding you. I played 2 of them in my deck, in my sealed pool, on Friday, and I got to play Rakdos on turn 4 and then dump my hand out on the same turn because I had Rakdos Cackler in play. It was insane. I had so much fun. Niv Magus Elemental, the 1/2 for 1. Exile instant or sorcery spell you control and put 2 counters on this. This card, I would not do it. I would not play it because of the fact you have to use this. Because if you do this, then you're wasting a spell and wasting your mana. And I don't think they want you to put spells that don't do anything into your deck just so you can exile them, and then when you draw them and you don't have Niv Magus Elemental in play, you don't have a way to get rid of these spells. Too far. Sorry. Rakdos Shred Freak, a 2/1, 2/2 or 2 mana 2/1 with haste. It's a decent creature. It just meant to get in damage, nothing else. Slitherhead, 1-drop, 1/1 with scavenge for 0. This card's pretty good. It trades with a 2/1 or the occasional 3/1, and also gives a creature a 1/1 counter for no mana. There. Vassal Soul, it's a 3 mana 2/2 flyer that you can play in either Silencia or Izzet and Azorius and be happy with it. It's just a good creature. Sundering Growth. There's actually a bunch of targets for this card with all the Q runes and also the enchantments in blue-white. So this is a good card against them, and also the Q runes. Also the populate is nothing to sneeze at. It's a good sideboard card, really good. I play it even if I don't have the Silencia deck. Okay, we're gonna go over the artifacts now. The Azorius. Okay, we're gonna go over the artifacts now. This is the Azorius key rune. I'm just gonna go over this one and then tell you what the other ones do. This is the Azorius one. They all cost 3. They all add a mana of each of the one mana for each guild gate, or for each guild. Like this one adds blue or white, and this one and then they also have an animate ability where you pay 1 of each color, and it becomes a certain type of creature. For the blue-white, because the 2/2 flyer. For the green-white Selesnya, it becomes a 3/3 wolf with no abilities. For the Rakdos, it becomes a black-red demon with first strike, 3/1, and then for Golgari, it becomes a 2/2 insect with Death Touch, and for Izzet, it becomes a 2/1 weird with when it deals damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Out of all 5 of them, I think it just depends on your type of deck style and how you play. Chromatic Lantern, the lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, then tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. It's a mana ramp. Codex Shredder, tap, target player puts the top card of his library into his or her graveyard, then pay 5 tap, sacrifice Codex Shredder, return target card from graveyard to your hand. Civic Saber, pay 1, the 1-drop equipment that gives +1/+1/+0 for each color of the creature. It's not that great. Pithing Needle. This is a card that you're going to see most likely in Standard. It's not great, I have to say. It's okay, but I would not. I don't like Pithing Needle personally. Street Sweeper. When Street Sweeper attacks, destroy all auras attached to target land. This is it's a 23rd card if you need a filler, because you don't have any you don't have enough creatures in your deck. That's the only reason you play this card. Volatile Rig. It's a 4/4 for 4 with trample that attacks each turn, and when it is dealt damage, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, sacrifice the rig. And when it dies, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, it deals 4 damage to each creature and each player. This card is way too random for me to play with this, and I just would not play it with. I would not play with this card. Tablet of Guilds, a 2 mana. It's basically all of the Angel's Feather, Kraken's Eye, Dragon's Claw. The cycle of play a spell of a certain color, you gain 1 life. This is that This is that card again, just with all 5 in one. It's not. I would not play it. Okay, we're gonna go over the lands now. This should be the last part of the segment. We're just gonna go over the guild gates, shock lands, and then the non-basic lands. The gates are better in limited because of the fact that they come into play because they fix you, but you don't take damage from them. And just in their common, so you're more likely to get the ones that you need. These are the shock lands. These are better and constructed because they let you do a bunch of your turn 1 plays, and also just really easy fixing. And they work really well with crack lands that let you search for swamps and mountains and etc. What have you, whatever your land is. Okay, this is Grove of the Guardian. This is the Selesnya Guild Leader card. Pay 5, tap 2 creatures you control, sacrifice Grove of the Guardian. Put an 8/8 with Vigilance in play. It's a creature token, so you can populate it, and it's okay. You just need to have if you don't have, but if you the only reason I would not play it is because if you don't have creatures to play, then you just lose. Like you can't get your growth to work. Okay, Rogue's Passage. Pay 4, tap target creature as unblockable this turn. This card's okay if you have a bunch of the big fatties. Like if you were playing, like your bombs are not getting through, you can just play this land, and you'll feel able to finally get through. Okay, and then this the last card of the set, Transguild Promenade. It's basically Rupture Spire. It's okay if you're playing on splashing, but if you're playing an aggressive deck that likes to curve out, I would not play this land because you already had your guild gates. If you're playing with guild gates and you're playing with this card as well, you're gonna have a bunch of lands that enter the battlefield tapped, and that slows you down a lot. And this one you actually have to pay a mana to do it, so it slows you down by about 2 or 3 turns. And that takes a lot. That's a big toll. But it's a good mana fixer. Alright guys, that was my set review for Return to Ravnica. I'll see you again. I'll let you know how I do at the pre-release on Sunday. And I'll see you guys later.